right, it's 8 o'clock. Time to get that Cornelius Custom Services 8 o'clock report going, and we're going to lead it off on Wednesday always. As you hear the Tijuana taxi, the door opens up, and Joe Sweathofer from Brian Insurance gets out, comes on in and see what is going on. And, Joe, good morning to you.
Good morning, Mr. Rick. Boy, what a great interview with Dr. Ledbetter, huh?
I'll tell you, he's a great guy.
Well, I tell you, real asset to the community, really laid out the whole calendar situation. I thought that was a really good way to lay it out, kind of to where everybody could understand it. I thought a really good interview. Good job on that.
Yeah, he's a good guy. Thank you much. Well, I tell you what, speaking of schools, spring break is going to be here before you know it. A lot of people are going to be out on the highway with, the warmer weather coming up and stuff like that. One thing I've often thought about car insurance is that we always try to go, I guess in my case, I've always tried to go for the cheapest deal you can find.
Right. Because
because I got a teenage driver and all that sort of stuff going on in my life. Looking at deductibles when it comes to car insurance like that, what is the I guess you'd say high deductible, lower pay, lower deductible, higher pay? I mean, which way is the best way to go? Like in my situation with a teenage driver, or even if you got young drivers.
Take their license away and don't permit them
to
drive.
Don't let them drive.
No, I'm just kidding. Now, heard it once before. With car insurance, it's one of those deals where you're either going to pay now or you're going to pay later. And when I say later means after the fact. So you're either going to pay now from I want to make sure I'm covered standpoint, and cover, basic. Texas requires that you have auto insurance at a real low level. It's 30, 60, 25. And people say, well, what the heck does 30, 60, 25 mean? 30, 60 is $30,000 per person, $60,000 for the entire accident for bodily injury. So, Rick, if I hit you, if I'm cruising down the road and I look down and, my phone fell off the seat and I'm fumbling for it and I slam into you, it was an accident. I'm going to cover every person in your car up to $30,000 for bodily injury. So you got to go to the hospital. You got to get checked out. Maybe now I jacked up your leg or messed up your back or made you hit your head. $30,000 per person, up to $60,000 for everybody in the entire vehicle. So if it's just you, you're maxing out at 30. But let's say you got Sonia and Matt and Miss Ann in the car with you. That 60,000 ain't going to go very far.
Right.
So, and then the 25,000 is your truck. And unfortunately for me, what I didn't realize is the reason why you had all four people in the car is you just got your brand new F-150 maybe over at Bailey's and you're taking everybody out to lunch. What's that going to be? Is that going to be 25,000? No, that's probably going to be close to the neighborhood of 40 to 45 because you got it all decked out and tricked out and you're real proud of it. So the state requires that, and that's it. And so a lot of folks say, well, just give me the bare minimum. That's all I can afford. Well, if you look at the cost difference between bare minimum, what the state costs, versus increasing your coverage to maybe 100, 300, 100, or 250, 500, 100, cost difference really is minimal. I mean, we're talking a couple of bucks a month. The other thing you always need to make sure of, too, you got so many people out on the roadways. You got, people coming in from out of town. Uninsured motorist is a huge deal.
Is that something that I'm thinking that maybe is probably, other than doing the state mandate thing, the most important thing to put on your policy?
It's one of those things at Brian Insurance that you will literally have to twist my arm to not put it on your policy because basically uninsured motorist, you're making sure other people are covered in an accident if you hit them. Uninsured motorist takes care of you if now Rick is driving down the road and his coffee spills and he's reaching down and he slams into me. He has a card that he shows me that he's got valid insurance, but you know what? That card was printed 4 months ago, and Rick, you kind of landed on some hard times, and you weren't able to pay that insurance bill. And you know what? You're going to get to it here in a couple months when you can get back on your feet again. But when you hit me, your insurance wasn't valid because you hadn't paid the bill in 2 months. Stuff happens all the time. And you come out and you say, well, hey, I'm covered, only to find out, no, you really weren't covered. And, now what am I supposed to do? Because I was hit by somebody that didn't have insurance.
I don't know if you know the statistics or not. What do you know how many people or a percentage in the state of Texas that are not insured?
It's actually, strangely enough, it's a pretty high number. I didn't do very well in statistics in college. That was not one of my strong suits. And I didn't bring it with me this morning. But strangely enough, even though the state requires that you have insurance, the state requires that you have a driver's license to drive down the road, and you get a lot of people that have no driver's license tickets as well. So the number's actually pretty high when you think about it, seeing as how it mandates that you have it. And, I was thinking on the way in this morning, as you're driving down the road and you're seeing kind of people maybe texting and driving, which is just something you should not do. Put the phone down, deal with it when you get there. Don't be texting and driving. But you start looking at all the people driving down the road, and, there's a lot of insurance that, people say, well, you don't really need it. Why do I have to have it? To my knowledge, you're going to want it after the fact. If your house burns down and you don't have it, you say, oh, man, I wish I had that. To my knowledge, there's only one type of insurance that you can get after the event already happens. And unfortunately, right now, that's health insurance. You can get sick, not have insurance, and say, I'm going to go get it. No pre-existing conditions, nothing like that. But after that accident happens and, again, we'll go back to the scenario of I hit you and you've got the 4 people in your car. Man, I'm real sorry about that because I injured a lot of people out there. And my insurance company is going to come up and say, okay, what were the limits? The limits were 30, 60, 25, and you're racking up $200,000-$300,000 worth of medical bills. And I'm looking at you saying, man, I'm real sorry about that. I'm going to be even sorrier when I get the bill after that $30,000 stops. And I'm looking at, a couple $100,000 worth of medical bills that I've been sued because I didn't have enough insurance. And I'm thinking, man, I wish I would have paid that extra couple of bucks a month to make sure you were covered. It's just the right thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about insurance, like you say, you can pay now, pay later. The medical part of it is rough.
Medical is the worst. I'll tell you, cars these days. Cars these days, unless you're driving, unless everybody's out there driving, Mercedes and Maybach or Maybachs, how you pronounce that, Lamborghinis, all that good stuff. Most cars these days are roughly valued at under $100,000. So you're pretty safe there. It's the bodily injury claims that is going to just eat you alive. Go to the hospital these days. Heck, just go to the hospital for a routine surgery and see what the bill is for that. Let's throw on the top that you're going to have test after test to see, hey, what's wrong with you. And it also goes after you get out of the hospital as well. Now because of that accident, Rick, I hit you. Maybe you're in traction for a while. Maybe you've got a broken leg and you've got to deal with some therapy and things of that nature. Man, that's all part of that accident. That bill's all coming on the person that hit you. So it's the right thing to do to make sure you're covering others for that whoops, because people don't plan for accidents. Right. That's why they call them accidents.
They happen, though.
Yes, but you're either going to kind of pay now, and you're going to pay a small price now, or you're maybe going to pay a big price later.
I don't know. Do a lot of people, I'll make this the last question, do a lot of people, when they think about their policy, all they know is how much it costs a month? They don't even really know what they even have?
We see a lot of that. A lot of times folks will call and say, hey, I need to have you take a look at my stuff. Say, well, how are you covered? Oh, I don't know. I think I got liability and full coverage. Well, what are your limits? Oh, heck, I don't know. It's X amount of dollars per month. And that's pretty much all they look at. And, well, it's X. I don't know what I have. And, again, that's our job as agents to educate folks. That's why I try to push every year, have my folks come in, see if there's any changes, explain to them the coverage. Because, it's going to take me 5-10 minutes to explain coverages to you, but it makes a more educated consumer. And the more educated a consumer is, the better prepared you're going to be. So, it's a good idea to sit down with your agent, go over, hey, what the heck do I have? I'm paying all this stuff every month. I'm paying you every single month for this. What do I have? It's like going to the grocery store and just blindly throwing stuff in your cart and kind of walking up to the cashier and saying, hey, here you go. I don't know what I have. I'm just going to pay for it, and walking out and saying, oh, man, I forgot to get milk. I didn't even look what was in my basket. So
that's the way to go check. Go out and talk to Joe and all the gang over there at Bryan Insurance about your car insurance needs, because I'm telling you, until I married an insurance agent, I had zippo idea. So now I know.
Yeah, and knowing's half the battle, right?
Yes.
That's the old G.I. Joe tagline.
That's right. Knowing half the battle. So go get it done. Now, folks want to get a hold of you and any of the folks at Bryan Insurance. How is the best way to do that?
Real simple. 549-2525. You can call up there, talk to Ann, Lynette, myself. Or if you want to come on up and visit us, we're getting really close to the renovations being completed. It looks really, really good. The crews are doing great over there. Come on up to the second floor of the Sierra Bank Building. We'll give you that free elevator ride. Come on up, say hello. And let us sit down and make sure you're covered the way you need to be. Bryan Insurance has been doing insurance in the Lake Country for going on over 30 years now, maybe even longer than that. They've been doing insurance in Lake Country since late 20s, if I'm not
I know,
mistaken.
it's almost 100 years.
Right, so I'm way off. See, I told you I was bad with statistics.
Yeah, it just happens.
Numbers and me don't look good.
That's right. It just happens.
It's all right. Thank you, Rick.
Let you by this time. Thank you, Joe. The Brian Insurance guy here on your Lincoln to Leader Q94.7.